Hi everyone! In this video I want to talk you through Project 4. This is really our last week of class, and so in this video I'm going to give you some suggested steps for getting started on the project. And then because Project 4 is really like your final exam project, you're going to finish out the course showing what you learned about your writing process, gathering evidence, and putting together a completed piece of writing following the directions. So I'll walk you through the assignment and through your final reflection, task reflection 10, and demonstrate for you some ways to get started on Project 4. You can, of course, ask me questions throughout this week. I cannot read drafts of the project because, again, it's like an exam essay, but I can certainly answer very specific questions for you. So let's get started in the video. And you can see here in this page, planning for the week ending 4/22/20, that's this coming Wednesday. These are the steps that you should do by Wednesday night. So definitely you should be watching this video, and then you should complete reflection 10. So in that reflection prompt, I ask you to have read this scholarly article and to use that article to reflect and write through some themes that you might present in your Project 4 essay. So reflection 10 is really a way for you to get started thinking about the main ideas that will bring together your focus and your evidence for Project 4. Let's look at Project 4 so that I can highlight some of the major parts of that for you. Okay, so here we are at the Project 4 assignment. Initially, and you might remember this from the syllabus review at the beginning of the semester and from some things that I mentioned when we were working on Project 2B. Initially, this was supposed to be a reflective essay, portfolio, and presentation, but I removed the presentation part once I knew we were going to be working from home. Not because you couldn't do presentations remotely, it's actually pretty easy to do, but because it seemed like we could do it seemed like one manageable thing to take away this semester as we're all kind of dealing with like who knows what. So I'm just going to talk to you about the reflective essay and portfolio part, and I believe I've taken everything else out of this assignment, but I might have to pause and eliminate some things. So let's take a look at the introduction for this. To close the course, you'll work through reflection, self-evaluation, and presentation, and I guess we can think of your essay as a kind of presentation. To make a case to your instructor, that's me, and the larger composition program, that's other teachers who work in assessment, for how well you've achieved the goals of the course. To do so, you must look back over the work you produced during the semester in order to find, cite, and discuss evidence of your development of rhetorical knowledge and responsibility, and the other course learning outcomes, reading, writing, research, and reflection. So part of this project is the essay, and then the other part of the project is showing your work that you cite in the essay in your Microsoft OneDrive portfolio. I also ask for you to argue the grade you believe you should receive for the course overall, and you'll use the grade contract in the syllabus to highlight the grade that you believe that you should receive for the course. So let's take a look at the essay prompt itself. In this assignment, you'll evaluate your growth as an English 1020 student using your choice of experiences and work on the projects to support your claims. In an essay of 4 to 6 pages, analyze the relationship between your English 1020 work and the course learning outcomes listed in the syllabus. So for us, that's reading, writing, research, reflection, rhetorical knowledge, and practice with responsibility. Make an argument about what you've achieved from the learning outcomes by first citing specific passages from your essays and other assigned writings for the course. So those other assigned writings could be things like the reflection assignments we did, drafts that we did, or any other kinds of posts that I asked you to do, or even some things that maybe we hand wrote in class, but you have pictures of or you saved. So any of the work that we did when we were together in the classroom or that you did for homework could be used as evidence for this project. You are going to write about all of the course learning outcomes, but you might find that there are some that you feel were stronger for you and that you'll spend a little bit more space and time on, and then some that you might spend a little less time on. This part should seem a little bit like the paragraph writing you were working on for Project 3. The body paragraphs of your essay are meant to develop the essay's main claim in more detail and should feature subclaims, usually topic sentences, that are substantiated by evidence from your major arguments. And then in the conclusion, you're going to summarize your description of your work and craft a clear statement about the letter grade that you think that you should get in the essay. So let's just stop for a second and talk a little bit about the claim that you'll be making in this essay. So here under essay organization, this is an outline that you can use to start drafting your essay, just like we did in Project 3. But you are going to make a main claim that identifies specific characteristics that, in your view, represent your experiences and work in English 1020. So you're going to really highlight the things in that claim that you feel that you made a lot of progress in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause for a second and I'm going to paste this stuff over into a Microsoft Word document to show you how you might get started working on it, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the claim. If you want, you could pause the video right now too, and you could do the same thing. Or after I show you what this outline looks like, then you might want to pause for a second. Okay, so here I am over in a Word document with just the outline pasted in it so that I can start working. I know some of you would much rather start from a clean piece of paper or a clean screen, and you can totally do that. I'm just demonstrating one way that you might get started so that you make sure that you hit all of the points that are required in Project 4. So I'm going to have an introduction, and then in the body of my essay, I'm going to incorporate headers to separate different sections. So my section on reading, my section on writing, etc. That's to help the people in the composition program who might be reviewing my essay for assessment follow along with what I'm writing about in each section. And it's also to help me as a writer make sure that in each section, in the section on reading, in the section on writing, and so on, I'm actually writing about that part of the class. So then in each of those sections, I'll write one or more paragraphs. Each of those paragraphs will be centered around a claim about what I've learned or practiced related to that learning outcome, and then I'll use specific evidence from the class, from my work in the class, my own writing or my own notes, and I'll explain that evidence to show how it comes back to my major claim. So let's talk about that major claim for a second. Your main claim or thesis statement should identify specific characteristics that in your view represent your experiences and work in English 1020. Now, if you just do a gut check thinking moment, and you can say, well, what do I feel like I worked on the most in this class this semester, or I improved on the most this semester? One or two things might come to mind. I obviously didn't take the class with you. I worked with you in the class. So I'm going to reflect for a moment, imagining that I'm writing a reflective essay about my own research and writing work this semester. So I'm going to think for a second, and then I'm going to draft a claim sentence that I might be able to write about. Okay, so again, I'm thinking about my work, which is not as an English 1020 student, but as a writing researcher and a teaching researcher. So my claim, something that I could write about, this is a draft of a claim, so I might change this a little bit as I go, but I could start with this guiding idea. My work this semester shows my progress in writing literature reviews that provide a concise snapshot of the work of my discipline in specific areas, and my ability to develop research proposals that respond to local exigencies and needs. Okay, so this gives me two main things that I want to really highlight as I talk about learning outcomes. I want to be able to show my work on literature reviews and how I'm using them to focus on specific areas of the discipline of composition. And I want to show and write about my research proposals and how they fit with our local context. So in looking at that, let's just write a few more notes. I am specifically focusing on my improvement in writing, my improvement in reading, and in research. And so I could write a claim that says something like, my work this semester shows I have improved in writing, reading, and research most significantly, even though I'm going to write about the other learning outcomes as well. Now, this claim is a specific claim, and it does show my readers that I'm going to highlight my progress in writing, reading, and research. But this claim up here is more specific, and it points to very specific things that I've developed as a writer and in my writing practice. So I want to say that this is an okay, the second one here that I will put in bold right now is an okay claim. It's fine. It's like that middle column on our rubrics. It's like the B claim, right? It's a claim. It's arguable. It's not as wishy-washy as like I got better in my work. It does show specific things. But this one is even more specific. And this will guide my writing. So you might start with a claim that's pretty general like this, and then as you work through your evidence and write through the body of the essay, you might say, okay, now I really realize that like I'm focusing on X, Y, and Z, and I want to highlight those in my claim. But I just wanted to show you a couple of different versions. I can't share a student example with you because they're final exam essays, and what you experienced in the class is going to be so different than any other student, any other semester. Even than your peers in the class, because you're researching different topics. So you might even know from remembering your Project 2B presentations that you had different experiences working through that project. But Project 2B might be a good place for you to go back to. What were some of the things that at that midterm point of the semester felt really important to you? How do those things feel now? That could help you think about some of the things you want to write about this semester. And if you go back and read our early reflections and stuff too, that'll help you remember where you felt your writing was at in January and February, which I don't know about you, but for me that feels like so long ago now. What I'm probably going to do from this point, if I'm working on this essay, is I'm going to start dropping in some evidence that's going to help me. So I'm going to go to my portfolio and I'm going to pull up the things that I have in projects 1, 2, and 3 in those folders. And I'm going to see what specific evidence I can point to that will help me write about these things. If I don't have all of those things in my portfolio yet, they're going to get in my portfolio this week in OneDrive, and I can remember that I can go back in our course summary and I can look at all of the things that I've submitted and pull them down from there. So that can help you as well. Let's look at the syllabus. I just want to remind you where the course learning outcomes are in the syllabus. So if we look here on the second page, we've got these course learning outcomes, reading, writing, researching, reflecting, and then these 2 section learning outcomes, rhetorical knowledge and responsibility. So those definitions can also help you in this project, as well as the definitions for responsibility that you wrote about in Project 1. So remember, like you have already established the evidence for this essay. It's there in your OneDrive portfolio. You've uploaded it to Canvas. It's on your computer. It's in a folder of stuff that you've used for the class. And your job this week is to look back over all that stuff and figure out what argument you want to make, what claim you want to make about yourself as an English 1020 student and the progress that you've made this semester. Okay, I look forward to reading these. I look forward to checking out your Project 3 essays this weekend and giving you feedback because I know that those ideas have developed and changed over the last few weeks. So I'm really excited to see how those papers turned out. And I hope that you'll remember that you can send me questions when you have them this week. And I look forward to wrapping up the semester with you. I hope everybody is doing well.